How you doing, family? I'm going to start out this lecture with my usual routine. I want to instruct you, and so you will learn by my example. I want to start this lecture out from a perspective of being centered in my spiritual essence or awareness as God, as a micro expression of God, talking to you through this physical form. I want to initiate this lecture with the seed thought of to know truth is to live truth. To know truth is to live truth. And I want to pick up where we left off on the last video. Just a reminder, and with every video I'm going to do this. We are spiritual beings, micro expressions of God, but we are God. And the reason I say that is because God has two primary characteristics. God is omnipotent and omnipresent. And since we are God, or micro expressions of God, then we inherit those powers, those abilities, those authorities. So that means, since God is omnipotent, speaks to God's ability to create. And the word omni means endless. So potence means power to create. Omnipotence means God has the ability, the unlimited ability, to create whatever it wants, whenever it wants, and however powerful or strong or large it wants to. Okay, one. Two, second ability. And this is the most important, or equally important, to us as micro beings, because we inherit this ability also. Omnipresence. Now, presence speaks to time. Or in this case, as an essential spiritual being, time does not exist for us. And because of that, that means you can never die. Not possible. Just not possible. This can be validated in so many different ways, and I've talked about it in my other videos prior to this. What does that mean? What does that give us? What does that do to our psyche? What does that do to your blow by blow, day by day, you know, sequential, as you go through the sequence of every day? That empowers you with both abilities. You just have to try to squeeze these abilities through this finite vehicle. Because the two things I just mentioned to you were infinite abilities. They have no end, they have no boundaries. And that's your ability to create whatever you want, whenever you want. And you can never die. You always exist. You are everywhere, all the time, at the same time. That's what the macro part of yourself is. Now, the macro part of us created and set up and put into motion a system. That system is called existence. The other word for that system is called life. Okay, now that means, so what that means is each one of us were born with the ability within our essence, with the ability to express these two abilities. Not really so much the omnipresence part, because the omnipresence, as is with the omnipotence, they just are always, forever. So once you realize that and you validate that to yourself, then you will take on those characteristics and be those characteristics, and they will empower you and remove all fear, all anxiety, all confusion that anybody has told you prior to now. If they told you anything other than what I just said to you, then when they were not, either they were not thoroughly educated, maybe they don't understand how this works, or they just were trying to deceive you. I'm gonna put that mildly, but I don't want to get into that. I want to get into what you need to be doing. What you just saw me do was the basic steps to recentering yourself. Stop. Excuse me. Cut this off here. Okay. You have to stop identifying with this vehicle, because the two characteristics of what you are, and in order for me to articulate to you what you are, what I'm talking about that you are is not this vehicle. It's not this vehicle. It has nothing to do with this vehicle at all. It does, but in your essence, no. You're using this vehicle. This vehicle is like a glove. You're just using it. It's like a car. I'm riding around in it, but you're in charge. And so that means anything that goes wrong, don't blame God, because you are God. So you got to blame yourself. You're God. And see, you got to understand, this is the structure that we set up billions and gazillions of years ago. I'm sorry, I got to tell you that we set this up. And I'm going to tell you why you need to embrace this fully and completely. Because you cannot get away from this. This is what we are. And everything else around and any kind of jive and mind games that you play, you can't get away from this. Omnipresent, everywhere, all the time, at the same time. So everywhere you go, you're already there. Nowhere to go. Time don't exist. See? You gotta. Once you accept that, now you have empowered yourself, because now you realize you're responsible for everything that happens in your life. See? And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. You have the power and the ability to do whatever you want, and you can't die ever. These vehicles come and go. They're like leaves on a tree. Every season, they spring into blossom. They born, grow, become fully blossomed. Then they get old, wither, dry up, fall off. Spirit leaves, goes into the next one. As they say in their Christian Bible, in the twinkling of an eye, you're reborn. Why? Because that's what we want. We set this up. Why? For the journey, just merely for the sake of the journey. Because once you are perfection, there is nothing to do. There is nowhere to go. You're everywhere all the time anyway. Nothing to know, because you know everything. Imagine that. What would you do? You would do exactly what we've done. We set all of this up to get away from perfection. You can't get away from it, but you just want to at least have the illusion that you're no longer perfect. You don't want to know. You want to be the opposite of what you are. You don't want to know everything. So what do? You take a nanite of yourself and you put it into a baby, and you are reborn, ignorant, don't even know what your last life experience was. Why did you set that up? Because if you knew what your last life experience was, you'd be trying to go back and reconnect with that. We don't want that. It's a beautiful thing once you understand this, like I do. To me, it's the most liberating thing, the liberating realization that I think any human being could ever be blessed to realize. So now your living is far more substance, has more substance to it, has far more substance. You're functioning from a perspective of power, authority, and ability. And the greatest power of them all is to know you cannot die. You will not, you cannot. Not possible. Okay? Now, the system you were born into, up until now, up until this video that I'm doing and other people are doing, there is an awakening happening. It's been happening now for the last 10 or 20 years. I am just the latest iteration of this awakening. We have created me so that we can move us to the next level. It's time now because I exist. If it weren't time, I would not exist. It's just as simple as that. It's a beautiful thing. And the reason why I want you to get into the habit of functioning from this perspective is so that you will realize you're responsible. You can't blame Jesus. Don't even think about it. Don't blame God. Don't try to say, oh, God. No. The other thing you got to understand about this structure, and this is what's in my book. The name of the book is The Anatomy of Existence. That's what we're talking about right now. And the power of belief. We're going to talk about that as we start to exercise the authority that we gave ourselves, which is the ability to create and manipulate this physical plane that we call life. And the interface through which you affect change in this plane is this flesh vehicle. And this flesh vehicle has a brain. The brain, within the brain, there is a pineal gland. Within your center here, there is a solar plexus. And the brain and the pineal gland are the things that lead you and allow you to experience your essence on the fourth dimensional plane, which is the metaphysical plane. It is not physical as it relates in comparison to this physical existence. Another important thing you need to understand, the metaphysical realm is infinite, and it deals in the realm of perfection and unlimited power, because that's what you are. Once you get on this plane, this physical plane here, you're in the finite realm. This vehicle is finite. That's why finite means it has a time span. The vehicle is born and the spirit is put into it. So you, as a team, in other words, as a human, this flesh vehicle is the human part, and the being is you, the unlimited being that is put into a flesh vehicle. And so this unlimited perfect being is expressing itself through this limited finite being repeatedly forever. Now, the physical form dies. Okay? The moment the physical form ceases to be functional for the being that is in it, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The vehicle, ashes to, not you. Into another vehicle. Why? Because we want to get away from perfection. We set this up because we want to go on this journey. We want to have this, as Professor Kaba says and validates for me, which I had said it earlier, and just in my research, I ran into Professor Kaba Hiawatha Khomeini. He's the only other person I've heard that made the statement. We are a spiritual being having a human experience. And Professor Kaba also says, you must, as I said in my earlier videos, ask why. Because you want to get away from perfection. And you set this up simply for the journey, just to make the journey. All these adversities and all these challenges and things that are happening, we set this up. And we set it up because we don't want it. We don't know what the challenges and adversities that are going to come. We don't know what they are. It's a beautiful thing. I hope that, in time, well, by the time you get to this movie, this is movie number 24, 25, you're gonna be very much aware of why we set this up. And it'll be very clear to you at this point. Today is March 5th in the year 2020. Okay? I've been on this journey of awakening and awareness and self-actualization for over 45 years. Okay? And so you don't feel bad. since time doesn't really exist for us until we come on this plane, relative to this physical plane, um, we are the length of time that has passed is extensive, but it's just still the beginning, because you're an infinite being, even though millions of years have passed. I mean, tens of millions of years, even to the billions level of years have passed. But that's a nanite to an infinite being. And I'm going to keep this very simple. And I want you to understand the calm and the resolve that you must function from because of what you were born into. Now, if you are a person of color, and the darker your color of your skin is, you were born into a very challenging environment. And it seems like the whole world is against you. But it's not. You purposely set this up because you want the challenge. And I've heard this for many years. They say God doesn't put more on you than you can handle. So if you find yourself with extraordinary challenges, that's kind of a backhanded message to you that spiritually you have been here so many times that you have the capacity to deal with these adversities, and you have everything you need to deal with these adversities. And the reason you have these adversities is to validate the fact that you have the ability to deal with these adversities. And it's strictly for the adventure. And I know it's very difficult for, especially as a black man, it's very difficult for you to believe this. And like I said, belief is a very strong power. And it's something, belief should be and must be validated in order for you to be able to accept it. And belief becomes knowledge. Knowledge becomes understanding. Those are the levels of realization. Okay? Let me get my notes out. I don't want to forget not to talk to you about the points I wanted to talk about. So the topic I wanted to cover here is the difference between better at doing something as opposed to being better than something else. You were born into an environment where the authorities or the people who have control over the media and books and education system are mutated black people, and they appear to be fairer skinned than myself, and they have a mental illness where they have, through hundreds of years, have convinced themselves, not and a lot of other people who are ignorant and don't know the truth of existence that you know. They have convinced the others that, and themselves, that they actually believe that they're better than somebody else, and that better actually matters. See, again, what I'm talking about is what I call the kabuki doll concept. You were born into an environment where you have a mental game that is being perpetuated and disseminated throughout the society. You were born in a society, a world of people who are who have been so miseducated for hundreds of years. And it's only now, and this is called the age of Aquarian. And I am an Aquarian. Okay, and this, it's time now for us to wake up. And the game was always meant to go up until this point. We set this up. And the torture and the trauma. And prior to this, there's been torture, trauma, murder, mayhem, slavery, all kinds of barbaric nonsense. And you have to understand where this barbaric nonsense is coming from. A perfect, unlimited being is trying to express itself through a physical, finite form. Okay? This form that has evolved to what you're looking at right now, which Professor Kaba says, informed us now, this is the Homo sapien sapien. In other words, the thinking, standing erect, thinking and self-aware person. Flesh vehicle. It's a flesh vehicle, okay? Carrying the spirit within it. But now the flesh vehicle has evolved to the point where now the spirit that is within it is able to come through more. Prior to this, if you are a spirit that has a vehicle that you are able to express your awareness that you are God through that vehicle, then you are a very special person. You're a very special person. There are not very many people on the planet that can do this right now. And I mean, you can have, my mom is 84, 83 years old, and she doesn't have a clue because it's not time for her yet. Her spirit that's coming through that vehicle has maybe not matured enough that she can become aware of this. Even though I can tell her the words, she can't grasp it at all. Not at all. So what's happened is the flesh vehicle has a built-in intelligence that is brute on a brute base. It's almost like a dead vehicle. It's a vehicle. It has a motor. The motor works. The pedals work. You can start it up. It runs. But no vehicle has any intelligence. So if your spirit is not fully in charge of, has not fully interfaced with this vehicle and taken the reins and is mature enough itself as a micro being, if that has not been born enough times to intuitively understand and learn how to manipulate this flesh vehicle, in the absence of that intelligence and awareness, the flesh vehicle takes over. And once the flesh vehicle takes over, you're in the land of the brutes, because the flesh vehicle is totally brutal. It's strictly about fight or flight, basic bare bones survival. Dumb, no intelligence, no nothing. It's only when the spirit comes through and controls the vehicle, does it, the AI, what I call an automatic intelligence, it's automatically steps back because it has no power. Nothing can overpower an infinite, unlimited being. Once you understand that, it's almost game over. The rest of your life is about validating and flexing those powers, expressing those powers, manipulating your world, which is a very complex thing. It's simple to say, and it can become simple to do, but you have to practice. And since you're born into a world, now those of you that are 12 years old, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23 to 27, maybe even as far as 30, 37 years old. If you get it, if you're getting this and watching this YouTube video, and you're getting this, you're getting it a hell of a lot earlier than I got it. Because I just figured all of this out in the last, I would say realistically, I started writing my book in 2011. So I just started waking up 9 years ago. I mean, I've been awoke. But you see, you can have a bunch of little pieces, but I didn't have it together in a comprehensive and structured in a way where I could think through the process, think through the steps of what I've learned and put them in order so that the awakening can happen and the understanding can happen. Some people have to go through trauma to become awake and understand. I was blessed not to have to do that. I, you know, but my thirst for knowing is what compelled me. And the ancestors and my lives before this have compelled me to seek out this knowledge. And also, it's because my task in this existence is to teach you. And in order for me to teach you, I had to live through this truth and go through making the mistakes and the blunders and the challenges. And through the challenges, I've developed the mental and intellectual muscles to be able to articulate and give you this lesson so that you can now take the baton of this lesson and pass it on to others. And there is no amount of money you can give me that will equal the value of my awareness and my realization that what I've been blessed with as a gift, because the knowledge alone is the payment. Because the knowledge, once you comprehend it, then you believe it, then you know it, then you understand it, you're free. The rest of my life now, I'm free. There is no threat that anybody can uh, uh, throw in my direction that will worry me. It's not going to happen. I might even laugh at them because I know I cannot die. I will never die. I will always be the watcher. I will always be an awareness. And there's nothing any form can do to change that. Because I understand. Understanding is beyond knowing. It's through and through. Balls to the walls, as they say in the Matrix. Yeah. Once you know it, oh man. This is what you call being empowered with knowledge. Okay? So how do I get here? I get here through practice. What am I practicing? You have to practice and understand that competition is a mind game. If you're competing with your brother, you're cutting up. You're going in the wrong direction. You're on the dark side. You're in the wrong place. Because that person that you're competing with is you in another form. There's only one God. And what do we say? God is omnipresent, everywhere, all the time, at the same time. Having a human experience through a microcosmic expression of itself in another vehicle. You got to understand this. So every time you try to go left, you're going to get caught because you're going to catch yourself because it's only one God. Everywhere every person you see is you having a different experience. It's called an immutable law. It means you can never change it. You cannot change it. Whatever God has done stays done. And you can play mind games with your form and try to uh, react and let this form vehicle play some mind game on you if you want to, but you're just marking time. You're not doing nothing. You're not stopping nothing. You are messing up your ride. See that micro being? You were blessed with a ride. Now, whether you're going to have a fun ride or you're going to have a stressful ride or you're going to have a ride of pure terror and mental disorder, it's your choice. Because now you know, I'm telling you. If you're watching this, I'm telling you. Okay? And in my other movies, I gave you the fix for that problem. It's called Dianetics. You go in and do what you got to do. If you want to stop living in terror and anxiety and what they call depression and all this other stuff, and you want to commit suicide, that's because you don't know who the hell you are. Once you wake up and know who you are, the whole idea of suicide is like, what are you, stupid? You came here to enjoy the ride. As soon as you commit suicide, you're going to close your eyes and immediately go right back into the same game again. Because on the other side is nothing to do but go back into existence. Nothing else to do. We set this up. It's going to be very difficult for you to understand this because you're surrounded by external influences coming at you from all different sides, telling you, don't listen to him. Listen to me. Trust me. That's the AI, the automatic intelligence coming at you from all kinds of different sides. It's struggling for its own existence. We set it up to do exactly what it's doing. It's called challenge, resistance, opposition. These are all the English words that, and you can go to any language and I guarantee you they're going to have a word that says the same thing. Because everything God does is immutable. You cannot change it. It may change in form and be diverse in its expression, but you cannot change it. And it's a beautiful thing once you realize and you understand what you were born into. And what my job is to tell you the truth, hit you right between the eyes, pull the pin on these grenades, shove it in your ear, let it go off, and then watch you wake up. Now, for me, I'm just having fun. I'm sorry if I'm having fun at you may be a little stressed out, but I want you to understand everything that I'm doing is coming from me talking to me. And if you don't love yourself, and it's about love, this is all about levels of love. And I talk about this in my prior movies. You're breathing. We're breathing. That's God has provided and set all of this up. That's love. And when God loves you one time, and it is perfect. When God sets something up, God sets it up one time, and it is perfect. That's why I call God the singularity. Everything God does has done, because God has already done it, and it is perfect. It is good. You just got to understand, God don't make mistakes. We don't make mistakes because we are perfect. The flesh vehicle and as the being, the microcosmic being functioning through this flesh vehicle has got to learn to interpret it. And we set it up so you would have to learn to interpret it. You don't want to know everything. You want to be on a journey of discovery of what? Of who you are. It's kind of crazy, but it's really simple. You put yourself in this position repeatedly, forever, where you are reborn totally ignorant of what you are and who you are in order to take the journey. Because you don't ever want to be perfect and know everything all the time ever again. So you set something in motion, and we did it one time, and it will repeat forever and evolve in its diversity and in ways that you will experience this thing called life. And it's not limited to this flesh vehicle. The flesh vehicle at the point in time, is limited. But an unlimited being is going to create an unlimited number of finite vehicles that it can express itself through. Okay? I'm going to repeat this over and over and over again. That's how how it works. We set this up. That's how it works. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. The fun is going to come in when you get past all the minutia and the nonsense of white supremacy, that myth and that jive and con game. Oh, black is better than white, white is better than black. Oh, men are supposed to rule over women, and all this nonsense, crap, BS. Heaven is someplace you gotta die to go to. Hell is another place. If you don't walk right, you're gonna go down there and burn forever. You know that's a lie. Okay? And the world is gonna go up in an apocalyptic ball of flames. If you don't believe in Jesus, you're gonna go, you know. I'm sorry. But these are the things you go for when you don't know any better. And you don't know what you are. You don't know who you are. And you read these things, and I'm laughing at myself really, because for years I believed these things. And never a scintilla of evidence to prove any of it. All rumors, innuendo, lies, fairy tales, and pure BS. That's what it is. Not a scintilla of truth involved. Okay? So what I want you to learn about and practice now as you live your life, and you go with your brothers and your sisters, and you interact, and you're playing team sports and things like that, and your team is against the other team. I mean, you can go through those motions and whatnot if you want to, um, but I don't get along with things like that. I don't watch boxing. I don't watch basketball, and I do watch. I like football. I like watching the athletic abilities of people. Uh, just the seeing the evolution of the physical form, and how far it has come from being cytoplasmic goo, or homo, or whatever they were, Cro-Magnon, and all these other different lower forms of human development. Considering where we came from to where we are now, the level of sophistication and refinement, is fascinating. Because I'm a history buff, and and it is absolutely true that we are all black people who have, some of us have been mutated into these lighter forms of straight haired people who lived in different environments. But we need to understand it's not about better, it's just about the environment that the person genetically came through, the vehicle that they were born in. That vehicle type has gone through some metamorphosis and different changes because of the environment that it genetically was predisposed to in its form. But it's just the form. And again, the thing is for you not to identify with the form ever. You only identify with your essence, always and forever, as an infinite, unlimited being. That is the only identity you are. Everything else is an exercise in, I guess, folly, play. And it's okay to do that, but you have to know you're doing it, because you know exactly what you always are. And see, that realization and that awareness is the awareness behind your beliefs that compels and compels the subconscious manufacturing part of your being that makes everything manifest out here in this world. It makes the tree grow. It makes you hit the lottery. It makes you get the job. And if you're in some kind of competitive race, it makes you win the race because you see yourself already have won the race. And there is no doubt in your belief, in your vision of what you have already gotten. That is the law of attraction. That is the power and authority you were born with. But if you don't know, you can't exercise and build that muscle. That's what this is all about. That's what my book is all about. Anatomy of Existence is explaining that you are God having a human experience, and all the ramifications and all of the manifestations and abilities that come with that authority. Okay? See? And you're in a flesh vehicle, and all of the minutia and details and whatnot that comes along with learning how to manipulate this. And the reason it has an AI in it is just in case the spirit that comes in is not up to speed, not running stuff. The AI said, good, now I got something to do. And depending on how jacked up the mother who is the power source of how this is going to be. The female has been authorized by us, God, to run that whole show. It's not that men can tell her what to do. She the boss. She do all the bleeding. She do all the having the cramping. She do all the menstruating. She do all the work. And I'd be damned if I would even lift my mouth or even have the gall to go into that and tell her what to do with that. And let me tell you something. Any man to tell you because he can just go in there and tell her what to do, okay, go ahead. That's the dark side, folks. You're messing in an area that ain't your area. Now, short of her having her vehicle is dysfunctional and she has been evaluated to be a harm to herself and or the child that she is carrying, well, then the society, we've set it all up. The society comes up with laws, rules, whatever they are. Whatever society you were born into. Some of the laws and the rules may be just, and some of them may be unjust. Again, challenge. You're born into it. Why? Nothing else to do. So you get at that. You get in there and you do whatever you are authorized or compelled to do by the ancestors and by the spirit. You know exactly what you need to do. And if you have the power and the ability and the skills to manipulate those situations and bring about a healing, maybe that's your purpose. Maybe that's what you're better at. And you may be better than somebody else at that, but don't make you better than somebody else overall. And you must know the difference because it will keep you centered and help to propel all of existence and life on this plane in a more harmonious and peaceful and strong and solid way. You have a strong society. Your children understand their purpose and they will, where they are in their development as they evolve as in this flesh vehicle, empowered with the knowledge that they are God, having a human experience, reminded, as they're going to have to be reminded. Excuse me, that's a part of the challenge, both for you and for them. Now, once they're 21 and they're beyond the age of childhood, that's their life. That's their life. And when it comes to the caring and the compassion part, the only caring and compassion that will exist in this world and on this plane of life is the compassion and the caring that you bring. Don't blame it on God. Don't blame it on Jesus. You have all of the authority, skills, and knowledge to manipulate this entire world. Your immediate environment, your family, your children, your nieces, your aunts, your mother, your father, their health and their well-being and whatnot. That's on you. Anger, fear, terror, horror, murder, everything, that's on you. Whether that's going to be in your existence, that's on you. Don't blame God. God authorized you to do it. That's your job. Do your job. You want wealth? You're supposed to have wealth? Get to work. See wealth. Be wealthy. On the fourth dimension first, which should be the first dimension, and then it comes around into the second, third, fourth dimension. First dimension is in here, actually. See, we even got that backwards. And it depends on how you look at it. That's the way I see it. The first dimension is where you begin. And where do you begin? Within. Within. First dimension. Everything else, second, third, and fourth is out here. Up, down, left, right, in, out. Those are the three other dimensions after the first one. So that makes it second, third, and fourth dimension. All on the physical plane. You didn't know that, now you know. This three-dimensional plane that we're on, this physical plane, is a three-dimensional plane. Within an infinite space. The planet is finite. The solar system is finite. But the solar systems that are within the galaxies and the Milky Ways and all these other things, there is no end to that. Nobody has ever any evidence that there is an end to the universe. Because we are within God as micro beings. I prove me wrong. I defy anybody to prove me wrong. And then educate me so I will know. Don't stop saying that. Because as far as I know, the entity that where we're standing is finite. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to stand on it. The planet is finite. You can see its boundaries physically. The moon is connected in the orbital, gravitational, electromagnetic. This physical realm that is electromagnetic, gravitational based. All matter is electromagnetic and gravitationally based. And metaphysical energy manipulates physical matter. That's the structure we were born into on a physical plane. The spirit defines the physical. That was the thought, the singular thought that triggered this chain reaction that has evolved into what you see today. Okay, I'm almost out of time. I'm up to my last minute. Okay, so I just hope that I did cover the difference between better at doing something and better than somebody else. Better than somebody else don't matter. Stop that. My job is to free you from the trappings of the flesh and the brute flesh. This whole setup, very sophisticated. Oh, we got planes flying all over the place, burning gas, jacking up the environment because the brute is doing the best it can. This is just where we are right now in time. There's not about no blame. They're not bad. They just don't know no better. And see, only reason I realize they don't know no better is because I know better. The scientists have validated that what we have done up until now, we thought we were doing something slick, but we've been jacking up the environment, the air. It's not going to necessarily impact the global warming. That's on a wobble. That's on a cyclical, global, a cyclical, physical, orbital issue as it relates to the sun and the moon and the rays of the sun that are bringing energy to the planet. But we can do better. Never mind go global warming. We still supposed to be moving to back toward better and perfection. That's why we're doing it. It's not because the planet is getting warm. That's not the motive. That's not the reason for why we should be doing what we're doing. We should be doing what we're doing because it's better. Better for who? Better for everybody. Better for the longevity of the planet. Now, if there is some organic, cataclysmic, something that happens on a cyclical level, on a macro cyclical level, which means really big, as it relates to the wobble that the moon is going around the earth, pulling the earth as it turns. And then as the earth is going around the sun, and Jupiter over there is pulling the earth and making it go into some egg-shaped orbit around the sun. And there's some macro cyclical thing that's causing the planet to go into ice ages and warmings and ice ages and whatnot. Never mind all that. If that's going to happen, just let it happen. But that still don't mean we got to pollute the air. That still don't mean we got to pollute the water that we have to drink. That still don't mean we got to be digging up oil and stuff and fossil fuels and things and contaminating the drinking water and stuff. No. We even try to say, oh, global warming is not real, so therefore we can continue to contaminate. No. Not the right thing to do. How do I know it's not the right thing? Because I realize it's not the right thing to do. My children, my grandkids, and all of them is not coming up in no polluted world like I grew up in. Burning coal and whatnot. They used to live on 141st Street, get up in the morning, the whole block was full of smoke. Kids were having asthma and all kinds of crazy stuff left and right. Nosebleeds and the whole nine. Why? Because we just don't know. We're dumb. Education system right now stinks. The people who became great scientists, they were born smart. Education system just showed them and validated it. They were already smart. Elon Musk was already smart. He just picked up books and read on his own. When he went to school, they just validated what he already was. And he got so fed up with how terrible it was, they wanted him to go to MIT, and he went and did like one semester. He said, forget this. Hey, they're not even on my level. Because he intuitively knew what he was. His job was to lead us and show us that there is a better way. And for the last 100 years, the morons that have been leading us around because they wanted to make money, and they used people. And Elon realized, you love people and you use money to make life better for the people. Because if I make life better for all people, then I make life better for my children. Because they're people too. See, it's that holistic, family, communal mentality, socialist mentality that is going to bring the whole world up. And These filthy things that are in DC right now that is convincing everybody, oh, don't get watch that, stay away from that socialism and all that stuff. Believe me, they don't care about us. They're brutes. They're dumb brutes. So you have to totally ignore them and let the Elon Musk get in and do what they got to do. Work with Elon. Figure out the tax structure. So we got to do what we got to do. Money don't matter. People matter. Compassion for people matters. Why do you do it? Because it's the right thing to do. Gonna make life better for everybody. See, you got to get rid of this ignorance, and you got to control the brute. You got to control the form. The human form is brutal, ignorant, dumb, and anybody that identifies with it is not functioning from their essential self, which is the spirit. So there's this balance that has to be struck between the flesh vehicle and the spirit that is God, trying to express itself through this evolving flesh form. Evolving. And we're not there yet. We're good. We're doing good. We're better than we were. See, now better matters when you comparing it to how good you are now compared to how good you can be. That's the comparison. Better, where better matters. Otherwise, you need to be better at, not better than. Better than doesn't get us anywhere. Better than gets us somewhere if we better than we were when we were born. But better than only is good relating to yourself. How good is the spirit doing at manipulating the flesh vehicle? First, know thyself, and then learn to manipulate this flesh vehicle to do what? So that you can control your beliefs for yourself and use the law of attraction, the authority that you were born with, to manipulate this environment and get whatever you want. For your children, for your parents, for your family, for your people, in your neighborhood. That's the truth, folks. And now I've presented it to you, and I ask that you, all I ask is you don't believe me, validate it. Read other things. Like I've been blessed. The universe has brought a brother Kaba Hiawatha Khomeini into my life. I've been watching Philip Shock Matthews YouTube videos. These brothers are brilliant, dealing with the horrible treatment of black people on the planet by their mutated black brothers and sisters who came out of the caves mutated, mangled. Their minds are just, forget it. They've been so disconnected from their spirit of what they are. The left side of their brain is running everything. Their right side is dormant because the melanin, they're like this. They lost the melanin and went in the ice. And brother Kaba breaks this down beautifully. The ice does something to the personality, to the interface. It messes with the spirit, which is perfection, coming through this warped, demelanated, albino, or white-looking black person that been out of the sun for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years in the Ice Age. Tens of thousands, whatever it is, it's a hell of a long time for your nose to go flat and your lips to draw in because of the ice and 200 minus degrees, and the skin goes white and your eyes turn blue, because the main color of eyes is a dark, dark brown. The main color of the first humans that evolved into Homo sapiens sapiens, I absolutely believe Sheikh Anta Diop and all the other great Herodotus and all of these guys have repeated it over and over again. The oldest woman ever found is Lucy, a black uh, humanoid. Whatever it is, they black. It's not about better, about facts. That's just the way it is. You gonna function in the sun on this planet, or you better have some black skin. Best thing that demelanated people can do, find somebody dark and mate with them. Get on back to where you were. And all of this nonsense and superiority and nonsense, you're wasting time. Because nobody's going for it. That thing is over. So you might as well get your head around that. You're talking about get behind something? Get behind that. This is God has set all of this up on this planet. Now, if you want to be superior, then find you a planet of pure ice where you have to go underground forever. And you can stay just like you are. But if you're on this planet here, don't be fooled. It's not about better. It's about your own survival. You will have more skin cancer and all kinds of stuff, and you will live a horrible life. So you will hood up and go get you somebody of color and bond up and mate up and have you some beautiful brown babies so you can put an end to all of that nonsense. And then your kids' heads will be right. They won't be thinking all this stupid, nebulous nonsense that gets you nothing. It's getting you nothing. Because in case you haven't noticed, you're recessive. And when you're recessive, which means you're not organic to living in the sun. You want to be albino? Then you got to go back to the caves. And I know you don't like the cold, because nobody likes the cold. If you like the cold, then why the hell do you leave the caves? You wouldn't do it because it's not organic to you to stay in the caves. So stop all this nonsense, and the faster we start educating these young folks as to what they were before they went into the caves, and then how they got to be what they are now, the better off they're going to be. And then you also must interject. It's not about better. It's just about is. It's just about basic human survival. Okay? Let's make sure I know I went way over. I'm 13 minutes over my time. And I did solidify it in that. And I talked about being cooperative in your community as opposed to competitive. And to make sure I cover the base, better at something is cooperative in its nature. Better than something is competitive in its nature, and that you do not want to do on any kind of large scale. And then I did cover left side, right side. I kind of browse over it slightly, but when you do get into thinking that you're better than something, that's the left side. That's the segregative. The left side always wants to segregate and separate things. And the right side can be just as bad because it wants to put things together in a way so desperately that it actually gives the appearance that everything being together is perfect. That ain't, you got to balance that off too, because you have to be able to deal with details. Okay, so but this thing of being better than is an absolute no. You're wasting your time. You have to cooperate. You have to live together. You have to get along with everybody. And you have to help each other. Everything that we are is all designed to help somebody else. You can't even see yourself unless you go in the mirror. So everything that you are, that the way you look, it's not even for you. It's for the other person to look at you and enjoy what they see. Be attracted or repelled. But it has nothing to do with you. How I look has nothing to do with me. I can't even see myself. I have to go find a mirror and look at it just to see myself. So that to me implies logically that whatever I'm bringing to the game is not for me, it's for the game. It's for the other people in the game to help their lives in whatever way I can. And whatever they are about, they're going to help my life in whatever way they can. That's that's the harmonious way we should be living. That's how we should be living. And all of the trauma and the horror and the mental dysfunction that has come out of the trauma of enslavement and the everyday pressure of black men being worried about being murdered by cops that happen to be demelanated, mutated. Uh, uh, to heal from that is for the black uh, person, black man, black woman, get back into your essence. Realize that you are God having a human experience. Forget about all that nonsense. Do your breathing. Do your meditating. Understand that you are an unlimited being that is omnipotent, meaning has the unlimited ability to create whatever you want by manipulating your beliefs. You have it already. You're already God. You don't need nobody outside of you to do nothing for you. And if you want to get some cooperation, see it happening in you first. Then reach out in the physical form. That's the balance. In, out, and the rest will come into manifestation. Practice makes perfect. Seek balance. To know the truth, you have to live the truth every day. And each day it will get better. But you're functioning from the perspective of an infinite being with infinite potential to create whatever you want, whenever you want. And you can never die. You will always exist. You are omnipresent, everywhere, all the time, at the same time. And you chose to be in the perspective of an infinite being living in a vehicle that is called Oduwole. My mother named me Russell, and we are in the family of Allen. But my traditional name that I chose to give myself is Oduwole Olubusoye, which is my African, it helps me to identify with the African ness that came with this vehicle. And it really comes from all vehicles. All of us, all human beings, all human forms started in Africa, in some river valley in Africa when it was all one land called Pangea, river valleys. And everything in a river valley was black. There was no ice age. And if it was, there were no humans caught in it to become mutated. So we're all from one family, one race of humans. And the word human alone says a person, a man of color. I do graphic design. The color patterns are red, green, and blue, and that speaks to a monitor. But when you're dealing with reflective colors of paint and oils on paper and things like that, the color scheme is called hue, saturation, and brightness, HSB. But the only one that speaks to color is the word hue, HUE, and man of color. Even the albinos, even the mutates, they call themselves humans. They don't even know they're calling themselves a person of color. That's what you're saying in the English language. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I want you to. Because in your search to prove me wrong, you're going to find more validation of the truth. And that's all I want you to do. Okay, family? Love people, use money. To know the truth is to live the truth. To know truth is to live the truth. And I'll see you in the next movie.